Teaching children to recognise the size of the problem is quite a challenge, and for some children it will take a really long time for them to understand that this is just a small problem and it only needs a small reaction. You've just broken your pencil, we don't need a full meltdown about that. But it's difficult to get that message across to children, particularly once they've already broken their pencil and they're already having a meltdown about that. This happens for children who have autism spectrum disorder, but it also can happen to other children as well who, may just need more support with that. Some children need more support with maths. Some children need more support with social things. So how do you teach a child to make sure their reaction matches the problem? So you need to teach this when the child is calm and in a teachable state. During the meltdown is not the time to try and have that conversation with the child. This is just a small problem, settle down. It's not going to work. So what I like to do is I like to get a small group of children, some neurotypical and some that are having difficulty with size of the problem, and I like to get them together and we talk about the catastrophe scale. How big is the problem? We put it on a scale. There's lots of different ones out there. I've put one on the blog post that goes with this video just to give you some ideas. But you need to think, is this a very small problem? Well, this is a huge problem. And I like to just write things on Post-it notes, ideas from children or ideas I put forward myself. Like there's a meteorite going to hit tomorrow. Okay, way at the top. I broke my pencil, my ice cream melted. Okay, down the bottom. I've lost my lunch, pops a little bit smaller, a bit bigger because you're going to need somebody to help you solve that one. So that's a really good starting point. And then I take those individual points and I tell, okay, so meteorite's going to hit the planet tomorrow. It's okay to have a huge reaction and to be really freaked out and that's okay. Okay, but then my pencil broke. It's not okay. So you need to think about what size of the problem, what are you going to do to fix the problem? If you can fix the problem, you may or may not be able to fix the problem. So those are the really good things to teach in the teaching moments. But when things have gone wrong and you've had that conversation, then once things go wrong, then the next thing you need to do is have time to debrief. Now that may be soon after they've had the problem, or it might be the next day or several days later once they're able to calm down and talk to you rationally about what happened. So I had a student a little while ago who lost a game in maths. We were playing a game, practicing rounding numbers to the nearest 10, nearest 100. Was no big deal to me or the rest of the children in the class, but he was losing. So we had the dice got thrown. He cried. He threw himself on the floor. Now, obviously, that reaction is disproportionate to the actual size of the problem. He hasn't lost the World Cup. It is only a small problem. To us, it's only a game, but to him, it was a huge problem. So another day we played a similar game, but before we started, I role-played how not to lose. So I cried, I threw the dice on the floor, I laid on the floor, I cried, I threw a tantrum, I screamed and yelled, and actually my boss came running through to say, is everything okay? Because if you have a large reaction, lots of people come to help. So, and that was a really good turning point for that child with that particular issue. We've played games since and there's not been such a problem because we know that it's not such a big thing to worry about. So keeping those examples where you have role-played or taught what reaction goes with what problem, they're really good to keep together in a folder. I keep a copy at school and I keep a copy send a copy for the parents, which they can keep in a folder, which maybe they keep in the car for when they've got 5 minutes and they just flick through and remind themselves. So a big problem usually needs lots and lots of people there, important people, fire, police, ambulance, the air helicopter maybe the principal gets called. Whereas a small problem would only be maybe you, maybe one friend. Your pencil's broken, you fix that yourself. Some things that are a problem, you just move on, you can't fix it, you just leave it alone, forget about it and move on. Middle-sized problems, you need an adult. So it might be a teacher, or it might be mum or dad. But that's sort of how you rank the problem. So can you solve it yourself or with a friend? Do you need an adult? Or do we need lots and lots of adults with specialist skills? So I hope that gives you some ideas. There's some more ideas on the blog post about how you can go about teaching size of the problem and then what happens when you see that disproportionate reaction, size of the problem to size of the reaction.